sorry, you just caught me building my new Fanhome Dodge Charger kit. Fanhome have worked together with Fast and Furious to bring you a faithful 1:8 scale model of Dom's Dodge Charger RT from the Fast and Furious films, and that is what I have been building. So I am on issue number 6, and honestly some of the materials, the terminology and the detail used in these kits is just unbelievable. So your monthly subscription comes with a series of detailed magazines with exclusive facts and step-by-step guides for the construction of your model. And to celebrate Fanhome's UK launch, early birds will receive 2 very special gifts, a Fast and Furious cap and t-shirt. You've got until the 15th of April to receive early bird benefits, so check out the link in the description below for all the information that you need to start building your kit. And I'm really looking forward to receiving the next few months so I can continue building my 1:8 scale version of Don's Dodge Charger. So thanks for Fanhome for sponsoring this video, and now to an exclusive look at my Cobra and everything that you need to know. Hi, I'm Adam C and welcome to my 2005 Cobra Replica. This is my Dax Tojeiro that I've had for about 3 years, and I realise I've never really made a video about the car on its own. I've taken it to numerous car shows and it probably hasn't been seen a lot for the last half a year on this channel. So I thought I'd make a video explaining everything about the car if you are interested. So we start with the car in general. So as I said, it is a Dax Tojeiro. Dax is a UK based Cobra Replica company. They are one of the most well-known UK kits for the Shelby Cobra, obviously based on the early 60s AC Cobra 427. The 289 was the narrow body Cobra, which didn't have the flared arches and it had the slightly less Leary engine. It had a 289, which is about 5 litres, whereas this would have had a 427, which is about 7 litres. Whereas mine, it doesn't have 7 litres, but we'll go on to that a little bit later. My car is finished in Ford Imperial Blue. You may recognise it from the Mark I Ford Focus RS. That is the colour that they went for. It only recently was sprayed in this colour in its lifetime, because I spotted this very car at numerous events years before I actually owned it myself in the resin kind of normal coat colour that it has, which is like a pale dark blue. So it's since had this colour sprayed onto it with the Wimbledon white stripes, making up the classic style that you come to know from these cars. This is the colour that I wanted. This is the scheme that I've always aimed to get ever since I was a kid. And when I was a kid, I thought the AC Cobra was a replica. I thought they all were kit cars. I thought that's what the Cobra was. It was a kit car. I didn't know that there was a real one and then there was the replica. So this is what I actually wanted ever since I was a kid. My uncle started building one and he unfortunately sold it before it was finished, like a lot of people do. So I actually bought this pre-made. I didn't really trust myself to finish a project such as a car. So yes, this was pre-made by Dax themselves rather than a guy in a shed. So hopefully you would expect that it's put together well. So I have done numerous changes myself since I owned it, but again, we'll go over those a little bit later in the video. So the number plate, ACC 902A, is meant to kind of spell AC Cobra, AC Cobra. It doesn't really, but that's the style of number plate I wanted to get as well, and luckily this car already had the plates on when I bought it, so that was fantastic as well. So we'll start with the front end. You'll notice the fans. Now these cause quite a bit of debate on my channel because they don't actually do anything. They are just for show. They do spin round, not very loose, but they do kind of spin. They're just for show. I know it's a bit weird having fans that don't actually fan, but I do, and I just prefer the look of it. It looks more kind of racy, and you don't need to worry about it getting in the way of the intercooler because it's such a large mouth. It runs pretty cold anyway. It kind of averages around 60 unless it's in traffic. So if anything, they protect the radiator more than not having them at all. And then these bars, I've just kind of put some black duct tape around them because they were chrome and it was a bit too much chrome going on. Obviously you've got the oil cooler on display here with the lovely finishing touches of the blue and the red pipes down to it. And here we have the quick jacks. So original Cobras would have had these in place, so during a race they could be jacked up, like it'd have a, I don't know how to represent this one, here's a stick, it'd have a bar, it would go under them and then it would kind of leave it up underneath the quick jacks. Whereas these are just for show. They are not to be jacked up with because they're not really mounted in anywhere safe. But I put these on. Originally it had the chrome surround crash bar, which I still have, and it had the overriders as well. So I've still got that if ever I want to change it back, and that's the beauty of it. I can swap and change how I like. I can take the fans off, and I do sometimes. We've got the orange indicators. When I bought the car they were clear on the front and the back, and I much prefer the orange effect. And this grille was blue, but I've sprayed it black because that looks a bit more original as well. My headlights are P700s, which are quite well known on classic cars, and this one has a crack in it, so I need to get that replaced ASAP. You'll notice the residue from the crosses that I had, which are on race cars to keep the lens in place if it breaks on track. So it's actually broken, but it's kept in place itself. But I've taken the crosses off anyway for now. As I said, I swap and change the look of it when I can. Oh, it looks so good. So we've got the large bonnet scoop, which is synonymous to Dax. They always have the really wide scoop rather than like a small narrow one. I really like that. I like the way the stripes run along it as well. So we come on the side and you'll notice the wheels and the tyres are pretty out there as well. We've got the Goodyear Eagle tyre writing, which individual graphics provided me. They are actually Goodyear Eagle F1s, but these are just stickers because they look a bit more kind of in your face than just painting in the eagle, which you can kind of see the residue from. The wheels are 17-inch Hallebrand wheels. They are replicas of the original Hallebrand wheels that early Cobras had. The original wheels were 15-inch with larger profile tyres, whereas these are more of a kind of modern take on that. So no, that is not correct, but that's how I like it. And when I bought the car, the centre part of the split rims was grey, and then all the nuts around here were red, so I had it resprayed in black because that's what I wanted. It kind of makes the Hallebrand wheels more kind of obvious, and the design is better presented. And I've got these little dust caps over the nuts. There you go, because original Cobras would have these as the knockoff spinners to release the wheel. So you get a hammer, you tap that around, that would loosen, and that's how you take the wheel off, whereas these are just replicas. They've got normal wheel nuts and they're just for show. Now before we venture around the side of the car, I'd just like to point out the Cobra badge. It's missing a bit of paint. I've bought several copies of these badges and there's only one place you can get them from, and over time the paint just comes off. So the blue of the top of the Cobra has come off, the O inside there has come off, and over time that's going to lose all of its colour, unfortunately. So around the side of the car we've got these stickers that I have applied. I actually designed these myself on Photoshop. 88 is a reference to a 1:24 scale model that I built with my dad as a kid, which had the number 88 on the side of it. So you may see that model around in shops or car boot sales. And we've got, instead of Castrol, Fast Rep. Instead of Auto-Light spark plugs, we've got Requires earplugs. Instead of Coney, we've got Phony because it's a fake. And instead of Goodyear, it's Noob Fear because that kind of best fitted it. So yeah, I made these on Photoshop, a bit tongue-in-cheek, but just a little bit of fun really. We've also got the 427 badge. As I said, it's not a 427, it's a 350 cubic inch engine, but it's trying to replicate the 427 Cobra, so that's why the badges are on there as well. It's also got some black indicators. Not sure why they were chosen over orange, but I don't mind them too much. And we've got the grills on the side, which is classically synonymous to the original Cobra as well. Now, the headers. Here are the headers off one bank of the V8, and they literally go straight down to the side and out there. I'd say 3-inch tall and maybe 5-inch wide, 4-inch wide perhaps. If I put my phone down here with a torch on, you can kind of see the appearance of the exhausts. And it's very easy to burn your ankles as you get out the car on the exhaust. The door is just here, the handle is that, and you open the door and step out like so. You've got the handbrake there, but we'll go into the interior later on. We've got the wing mirrors here, which when driving you can see this one, but the other one has the pillar right in the way, so it's a little bit useless. So I've kind of tilted the central mirror to the side a little bit so I can see that way a little bit when I'm looking in the central mirror, and use that instead of the side one. So that's a bit useless. This also did have different wing mirrors. I think they were further forwards beforehand. I don't know why they've been changed to these, because that's useless. And here's the windscreen. It's got some little side windows here for airflow. This one is loose at the moment, but I'll fix that soon. That one broke the other day, but I fixed that as well. We've got the stone guards on the side, which are doing their job. You'll see the bit where it doesn't have the stone guards has got loads of stone chips, so that's a useful feature. The rear wheels are the same size as the front, although these are 255 wide and the fronts are 235 wide. You'll notice the Dax Cobra has one little flaw that I don't like, and that's the lobe of the body at the back here, making it look like I need spaces to bring the wheel out more. From the rear it doesn't look as bad, but that is the way that Dax's moulds go. It's got that annoying lobe that I can't get rid of. And as for spacing the wheel, I need to get extended hubs, and it's a Jaguar hub, and apparently that's a bit of a job. So as I mentioned, Jaguar hub, Jaguar chassis underneath. So it's a 2005 car on a 1988 Jaguar chassis, probably from an XJS Jag, and it's got a 1974 engine up front, and the switches and dials and things are from the Sierra from the 90s, but again we'll go over that in a little bit. So at the back we've got the fuel tank, which used to be here. You can see the old surrounds, and it's been relocated to here. Again, I don't really know why, but it could be something to do with the roll bars. It used to only have one roll bar that didn't have the third leg, and original Cobras would only have one roll bar on the driver's side. And they did make right-hand drive Cobras. Before you say, oh, it shouldn't be right-hand drive, they did make original right-hand drive Cobras. Anyway, it has since had the new roll bars put in on both sides, and I prefer it with just one, but it's a bit of a big job to take that out and fill it in, so I'll keep it as is. So yes, that's how you fill up with fuel, and then you put the key in there, undo that, pop that off. The annoying thing about filling up with fuel in this, as well as putting it back on again, is the fuel hose goes down, then it bends and then goes down like that, so you can't fully press the fuel trigger, I guess it's a trigger, all the way when you're filling it up, otherwise it will just spurt out because it fills up too fast for it to flow all the way down. So you have to hold it halfway down for it to gradually seep in. It takes ages to fill up the 70-litre tank. I think it's 70 litres from memory. We've got the Williams harnesses that go down into the inside that attach to the roll bars there, which is a nice touch. Now we come down to the boot, you'll notice this badge has got a lot of paint that's come off, and you'll notice the bodywork has a bit of paint that came off, because when I tried to take the last badge off, there were some holes. Oh, that's locked. So there were some holes underneath the boot, and I thought, I know, I'll just push up from the holes and the badge will be underneath that, but no, the badge was here and the holes were there, so I just pushed up through the bodywork and broke the fiberglass, which is what this body is made of, fiberglass. Original Cobras were made of aluminium. So yes, the old badge, like before it was painted in this colour, was a little bit that way. But to suit the stripes, which aren't maybe exactly central, I don't know, the badge has been moved to the centre of the stripes rather than the centre of the car. You can tell the stripes aren't necessarily central, because if you look at the size of this bit here and then the size of that bit there, yeah, it's not quite central, but that's fine. So we've got loads of keys. We've got this, which is, as I mentioned, 90s Ford era starter key. We've got the immobiliser, and this is for the fuel tank. And we've got 3 more keys, one of which is for the boot, the other 2 are for each pin on the front bonnet, so you can lock these down so you can't turn them and open the bonnet. Anyway, I'm going to open the boot for you. So my struts need replacing, so it might not stay and might whack me on the head, but as you can see, they're the 2 holes, and that's the one I punched through. And anyway, that happened. So in the back we've got the battery, and you can see the fuel pump and the way the hose goes down a bit awkwardly, and then an isolator there as well. It's got a lovely blue carpet underneath the roof. This is the roof. In a previous video I have shown how to put the roof on the car. It's not something I'd want to do, and it's not something I'd do that often, only if it's raining really heavily. Anyway, let's put that back down again. We've got a reflector in the centre here, and then the quick jacks over here. I noticed the other day this one is longer than the other one. That'll be my bad, I fitted these. And again, originally it did have the full crash bar along the side, but I've taken that off in favour of the quick jacks, and I also had the clear indicator there, and I've put the orange one instead. Now, rather embarrassingly, original Cobras had these the other way round. The indicator was on the top. But oh well, that doesn't matter too much. We also got a number plate light underneath here. So up top you'll notice the pins around the car. So we've got the small ones, which are for the roof to pin into, and then the slightly taller ones here, that's for the tonneau cover that lays flat over the interior to go onto. So that's just to stop any kind of rain or dust to go in when the car's not being used. So we shall go to the inside of the car. So you'll notice the fire extinguisher at the back. That was a nice bit of dress-up kit as well as being a fire extinguisher, but I've got another in the boots just in case that one doesn't work. It's a bit of an awkward thing. Do I go to the boot one that I know works or go to the closest one to me? I don't know. I shall step in for this bit. Careful not to burn myself on the exhaust. Oh, needs a bit of a slam. So we've got the 4-point harnesses. They just clip in like so. It's hard to do one-handed, but you get the idea. It's the harness. And around here you can see the cream dash, which is something I definitely wanted, even though original Cobras had black dashes. That's one easy way to tell a replica from a real one. Real Cobras never had cream dashboards, it was always black. But I wanted cream because it looks nice. I also wanted blue carpets, but I got black, and I don't really mind that too much. You'll also notice my bent gear stick, and that is because original Cobras, their gearbox was mounted too far back, so they bent the gear stick forwards, so it was in a normal position, whereas again this just replicates that, so it looks more genuine. And the originals would have a 4-speed, and you'd lift up this handle to get reverse, whereas this is a Tremec T5 box, so it's 5 speeds, so reverse is just where 6th would be. But your hand kind of sits on it nicely when you change gear, and you get used to using it as it is. So the dials here, we've got the speedo, which I've recently repaired, and the rev counter. They were the other way around when I got the car, but true Cobras have them this way around because you drive on the revs, not on the speed. That's a bit of a quote from Carroll Shelby. Apparently we've got the full beam lights, the oil light, the battery light, and the indicator light. Here's the indicator stalk from a 90s Ford, such as a Sierra. Got the horn, which you press that. We've got these 3 buttons that seem to light up sometimes, but not actually do anything. There's a fan button there, but it's got a fan override switch underneath here. Don't know if you can hear that. We've got the oil temperature, the oil pressure, and the temperature gauge here. We've got the fuel gauge behind the gear stick. In first gear you can't see it, in third gear you can't see it, but in second and fourth you can see it from the driver's point of view, unless you kind of turn your head around there. And we've got the volts as well. So engine start button there. I'll start it later on so you can hear that. I'll just turn the fan off. Nice little light to know when it's on. We've got the Cobra steering wheel. I'm not sure the name of these wheels, but it's got a lovely Carroll Shelby autograph there, and a Shelby logo here, and the Cobra badge right in the middle, so it's really nice to the touch. It's quite a thin wheel, and it's got some grooves for your fingers to sit in, which is quite a nice touch as well. The glove box is literally enough for a pair of gloves, or just this camcorder fits in there nicely. There is the centre of the O from the front badge, and this is a sticker that I bought from eBay. That's the first thing I did to this car, put the nice Carroll Shelby sticker on it. But I think that looks really nice there. It sets it off really well and fits in that gap perfectly. So you've got the cream leather seats that go with the cream interior, and it's quite dirty underneath. It's just a wooden board that you're sat on, but it's just enough support for a long distance drive. And you've got some pockets in here that are never really used for anything because you can't really put anything in there. And then down here we've got the handbrake. As for creature comforts, there are none. There's no cigarette lighter. That's a biggie. There's no cigarette lighter whatsoever in here. There's no heating, cooling, entertainment, or anything like that. All you've got are these vents here that draw the heat from the footwell up to heat the windscreen. That's it. There's no power to them or anything. It's just a vent that goes up there. We've got the AC pedals down there. That's the only AC logo on the car at all. All the other logos are Cobra logos, and it's a bit of a shame because my initials are AC, and I think that's the reason that I wanted a Cobra when I was a kid, because my initials are AC. So you've got the clutch pedal, the brake pedal, and then the throttle pedal is tiny. It's just down there. You probably can't even see the actual pedal. I need to change that because my toes touch it rather than the kind of the nice bit of your foot. So I need to make them a little bit bigger. But anyway, let's move on to under the bonnet. Oh, careful not to burn myself. So you twizzle these round one at a time. And these gas struts weren't working very well yesterday. Hopefully they... Yes, good. When I washed the car, the bonnet didn't stay up either, as well as the boot, so I think I need to get some new gas struts as well, but that's just a thing that needs doing. So here is the Chevrolet 350, so that's 350 cubic inches or 5.7 litres, and it is pretty much blasphemy having a Chevy lump in what should have a Ford engine, but these engines are cheaper than Ford engines, easily accessible.
I'm being very careful of this because, like in America, Ford v Chevy, and in England, it's a big battle, and it's just such a big deal having a Chevy engine in a car that should have a Ford engine in it. But that's how I bought it, and I don't mind too much. It's still a large V8, and it sounds great, and it's a replica. It's not like it's a real Cobra with a Chevy lump in it. But anyway, we've got the Edelbrock dress-up kit, we've got the rocker covers, we've got the air filter on top there. Alternator, I've had to change that recently, so that's no longer as shiny as it was. It was a chrome alternator, but it's got the chrome bracket, which is a nice bit of dressing up as well. It's quite a spectacle, this engine bay. Lots of chrome going on, even in the expansion tank. You'll notice the chassis is still nice and clean. I really do try my best to keep the engine bay, the underneath, and the exterior of the car as clean as I can. As for steering, that is all you've got. That little bar there with the unusual stripes, and then this very thin rod that goes to the steering wheel is all that you've got to steer. It's not the best steering system, and it's not the best handling car in the world. Anyway, I mentioned the headers earlier. You can see their nice colourful glow as they've got hot, so it's 4 down to 1 on each side. One way to tell a Chevrolet from a Ford is this distributor on the Chevy engine is at the back. On a Ford, it's at the front, but on a Rover V8, it's also on the front. But anyway, that's how you can kind of tell if it's a Chevy, because the distributor's at the back. I can't really show you the suspension because it's behind that panel on each side, but it's got, I think they're GAZ adjustable coilovers. We've got some yellow brake calipers. Don't know why you went for yellow, but yellow brake calipers are present. And at the back, you'll notice the calipers aren't actually visible because the Jaguar chassis has inboard brakes, so the calipers and discs are in the middle of the car. So in front of the fuel tank are the inboard brakes, so they will be a bit of a pain to change when the time comes. You'll also notice the fuel tank has that interestingly shaped V point at the bottom. I don't know why that's there. Later models of the Dax Cobra don't have that, and that is the lowest point of the car, as well as the fuel pump in front of it. So if you ground out on the lowest point, you'll be grounding out on the fuel pump, which I did once at Goodwood. Knocked it loose, and I had no fuel. And whilst we're under there, I must point out the brake switch is under the arch, so it's very hard to access when it goes wrong, like it did about a year ago. So that's annoying. Anyway, I'm going to close the bonnet now because the RAC van is stalking me, and to other people it might look like I've broken down. So what else have we got? Oh yes, the holes. So that's to hold the frame for the roof. So you put the frame in there, and then you drape the cover on, and then these are for the side windows in the door. So that was a visual walk around of the car, but now I'd like to tell you a few of the specs and statistics that I know. So the engine provides about 300 horsepower. In fact, I think it's exactly 300 horsepower it was dynoed at. Also comes to 350 foot-pounds of torque, which is enough for a car that weighs about a ton, if not a little bit more. I'd like to put it on a weighbridge, and probably will do soon. It's got, as I mentioned, a Jaguar LSD, which is lovely for the slides, but the rest of the car and its handling is very twitchy and snappy, so when it gets out of line it snaps back very quickly, so it's not really your standard drifting car. I once measured the fuel MPG because I was bored, and it averages around 15 MPG. It's probably worse than that now, but that was what I got back then. As for 0 to 60 and miles per hour, you don't really know because it's not an off-the-shelf car. It's a bespoke car made by Dax, who aren't a real true manufacturer, and it's got a bit of parts here and there, so you don't really know until you test it out, and I haven't tested this out. I've taken it on a runway, and anything above 80 is scary because the steering at the front of the car becomes so incredibly light, you pretty much lose all the steering over that speed, so you wouldn't really want to test out its true top speed on this car. It's not for that, it's for show. I wouldn't really want to put this on a track. Well, I would like to, but it wouldn't be the fastest car out there because of its handling and the steering, obviously, as well. So there's no power steering, no traction control, no driver aids, no ABS, nothing like that, as you would expect. But that's pretty much everything I can think about for a walk around, so I'm going to take you for a quick ride to show you what the car is all about. I don't have a passenger, so I'm going to have to make do with the trusty GoPro, so we'll see how that works out. It won't be the best. You kind of want to wear a collar with this car because the harness rubs against your neck like this. So I pull up my t-shirt like I am a 80s disco star, just so it doesn't do that. So you put the key in the ignition, turn the key, fuel pump is running. If it's cold, a few pumps on the accelerator, but it's fine, so... Whoa. And then engine start.
I would say the revs are optional, but sometimes they're necessary. It doesn't like a warm start as much as it likes a slightly colder start, which is unusual. Anyway, let's see if we can capture some content and take you for a short drive to finish off the video. It doesn't rev very high and the car's warm, so don't worry about that, but here we go. Oh. There go the leaves. In the winter at a higher RPM it does pop flames out of one or the other side, which is quite cool. Sometimes both sides. In the summer not so much, and you really shouldn't be flaming your car, not that much. So I shall turn you around and go for a drive. It does sometimes pop nicely on the overrun, and they're natural pops and bangs, not artificial ones. Second gear is quite nice, and then third and fourth is where the torque is really noticeable. Can't put the power on too much in this car because it will let you know that that was not appreciated. So there you have it. That was my 2005 Dax Tojeiro in all of its glory, so I hope you know a little bit more about it. Sorry about the poor camera work here, but that's all I can do with such a loud car. You've got the exhaust either side of you and air going all around you. So I hope you enjoyed that video. Follow me on Instagram for updates, highlights about this car and the shows I take it to. But for now, thanks for watching.